In this video, you will learn about visualization, analysis, and some of the machine learning algorithms in data science. I will be using a dataset taken from Kaggle, which is about the Airbnb ratings and reviews of New York City. Now, before we begin, let me explain the columns in our dataset. So we have listing ID, which tells us the ID of the property. We have the name of the property. We have the host ID, which is the ID of the host who's going to be giving the property. We have the name of the host. We have the street in which the property is located. We have the city in which the property is located, the neighborhood in which the property is present, the state in which the property is present, the country, which is basically all the values have United States since it's New York, the latitude and longitude points of the properties, the type of the property, which can be a house, apartment, and so on, the room type of the property, which can be entire houses or private rooms or shared rooms, how many number of people it can accommodate, the number of bathrooms it has, the number of bedrooms it has, all the amenities provided that come along with the property, the price of the property, the minimum nights in which you have to stay at the property, the maximum number of nights you can stay at the property. Availability 365 is the number of days in a year the property is available to be rented. Number of reviews is the number of reviews received for the property. Last review date is the last time it was reviewed. Review score rating is from 1 to 100, and it's basically the overall rating of the property. Review scores cleanliness is from 1 to 10, and it tells us how clean the property was. Review scores check-in tells how smoothly the check-in goes into the property. This is also from 1 to 10. Review scores communication is also from 1 to 10. It basically tells us how the communication went with the host prior to the stay and during the stay. Review scores location is also from 1 to 10, and depending on the value, it tells us how good the location was at which the property is present. Review scores value is basically the overall value and satisfaction that you received, which is based on the location, communication, check-in, and cleanliness and accuracy. And reviews per month is the number of reviews the property has received per month. Preprocessing is done to identify the useful parts of our data and also to identify the parts that are not useful to us. It can also be applied to convert it into a form that is suitable for a particular algorithm. So we have displayed a column names with their data type. As you can see, column such as name, neighborhood cleansed have object, which means that they contain strings, and columns such as listing ID have integers, and maximum nights have float, bathrooms have float. This means that they can have numbers, whereas object means that they're strings. Then we have printed the number of rows and columns of our data. So we have 75,749 rows and we have 35 columns. Then we print some information about our data. It shows us the column names along with the data type and also how many values are present that are not null. So out of our total columns, that's 75,749, we can see that some of the columns have zero null values, meaning all of them have values. And we can also see that some columns over here, like 44,000, which mean that there are null values, approximately 31,000 null values. Then we have printed the number of columns that have null values. So as you can see, all the columns that have 0 do not have null values, and the columns that have a number
show that they have that many null values. So name has 31 null values, street has 31,000 null values, and these columns don't have any null values. Accommodates has 31,000 null values, and so on. So in order to perform better computations on the data, we can fill the null values with something that can be useful. Ideally, you can fill the null values with 0, or you can fill it with the mean of the column. So we have filled some of the values in these particular columns with their means. You can also change the name of the columns for your better understanding and for better usage in terms of algorithms, as we have done here. We have changed neighborhood cleanse to neighborhood in order to avoid confusion and for our understanding. So in this way, you can change the name of the column to whatever you prefer for better understanding and computation. So there are some columns in our data that we don't need. They have unique values or we didn't find any use for them. So they're of no use to us. So we are dropping them. Listing ID are all unique. So we are dropping them. We can't get anything useful out of the name and the host ID. So we are dropping them. So in this way, you can drop the values that you won't be using. And over here, we've just seen the particular cities of New York City. Basically, there are 5, and these are the unique values. So Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and Staten Island are the 5 cities of New York. In order to perform further computation and analysis on the data and to apply the various machine learning algorithms and also to perform the hypothesis testing, it's important to calculate the summary statistics of our data. So we have calculated the mean, median, and the mode for some of the columns of our data. So first we've calculated the mean for some columns. So mean is basically the average value. And after applying mean to some of our columns, we get the price as 154, which is that the average price of all the properties is $154. The number of reviews received is 16. The average of the availability of the properties is 131 days in a year, and the average number of people it can accommodate is 2. Then we find the median. Median is a value when arranged in ascending order. It separates the upper half from the lower half. So upon applying median to some of the columns, we get 105 for the price, which says that anything below 105 can be considered as a lower cost, and anything higher than 105 can be considered as a higher cost. So we've calculated the medians for some of the columns as well. Then we've calculated the mode for some of the columns. Mode is basically the most recurring value in the column. We get mode for accommodates as 2, which says that most of the properties can accommodate 2 people. Most of the properties are from Manhattan City, and most of the properties belong in the neighborhood of Williamsburg. And most common property types are apartments, and the most common price for the rentals is $150. Interesting details can be found when we visualize the data. There are a number of ways to visualize the data, such as scatter plots, box plots, histograms, count plots, etc. So here we have shown the histograms for our columns. So a histogram is basically to count the number of values between a particular range. For instance, between the range 1 to 4, there are less than 5,000 values, And for the range between 8 and 10, there are a little bit more than 35,000 values. And for review scores cleanliness, the range is from 0 to 10. It's basically the reviews, the score for the review between 0 and 10. So here we can see that more than 40,000 values are there for the review score 0, and around 28,000 values between the score 9 and 10. So here we can say that uh, there are 40,000 values containing the score 0, either because the customer has not left the review and it's taken as null, or the customer actually did not like the cleanliness and out of frustration gave it a 0. So in this way, we can analyze the histograms. We have plotted some more histograms. Over here, we can see that there are over 20,000 values just between 40.7 and 40.8 latitude. And we also see that there are almost 60,000 values between the range of 1 and 2, meaning most of the properties can accommodate between 1 to 2 people, and uh, the properties can accommodate between 4 and 5 in about 10,000 listings, a little bit less than 10,000 listings. So over here we've plotted the cat plot. The cat plot or categorical plot is a way of plotting data according to the categories. Here, as we can see in the graph, that there is a representation of the categorical values in the cities of New York. For each of the listings in the cities, we plot the number of reviews they have received. The same has been done for the neighborhoods throughout the whole dataset. Now we'll be seeing the count plots. Count plots is basically used to count, but in the case of categorical values. Over here, we get to see the plotting of the various cities of New York and their listings in count. So here we can see that Manhattan City has the most properties available and Staten Island has the least. So one of the reasons that Staten Island has the least values is probably because it's one of the most expensive places to stay in the USA, and hence there are very few people that might take it up. So there aren't many listings in Staten Island. Then we have plotted a count plot for the neighborhoods in the dataset by taking a sample size. So you can see that the counting of the various neighborhoods in a particular sample. Then we have plotted the count plot for the room types. So here we can see that most of the room types in the data is basically entire homes or apartments, and the least are the hotel rooms. Here we've categorized each type of room and compared it with the cities. So we can see that in private rooms, Brooklyn has the most listings. In entire homes and apartments, Manhattan has the most listings. And in shared rooms, again, Manhattan has the most listings. And in hotel rooms, it's again Manhattan which has the most listings. Now we will show the box plot. The box plot basically has 5 parts: the minimum value, the quartile 1, the median, the quartile 2, and the maximum value. So anything below the minimum value and above the maximum value can be considered as the outlier. And as explained by me already, Median is the value when arranged in ascending order, separates the values into upper halves and lower halves. Then we have plotted scatter plots taking the latitude and the longitudes. So here we had some outliers when plotted showed far away from New York City. So here we are dealing with the outliers. We have removed the outliers and now we've plotted a scatter plot with respect to cities. As you can see, all the blue ones are Bronx, the yellow ones are Brooklyn, the red ones are Queens, the purple is Staten Island, and the green is Manhattan. This is the scatter plot of the types of rooms in New York, represented by the various colors. So you can see the most common types are shared rooms and private rooms, which is blue and green. There are a number of entire homes and apartments. Then we have plotted a menu driven graph using Mapbox, which shows us exactly what we want to see. If I want to see only the private rooms, I have to tap it and I can see the private rooms and also its latitude and longitude. If I want to see the entire houses and apartments available, then I select that and I can see only the entire houses and apartments. If I want to see the shared rooms, I click the shared rooms and I can see only the shared rooms. Then we have plotted the latitude and longitude with respect to the number of people it can accommodate. So as you can see in the scale, the darker shades are basically between 2 to 8 and the lighter ones are from 8 to 16. You can also manually click on the point and see how many it can accommodate. Then we have plotted the scatter plot for the types of properties in New York, represented by the various colors. So there are a number of properties in New York under Airbnb listings, such as hostel, dorm, boat, townhouse, castle, tent. Now all of them have been marked according to their respective colors in the scatter plot. This is another option driven map made using Mapbox. If I want to see all the houses available, I just select houses. If I want to see the bungalows, I select bungalows. Such maps are also useful if you are looking for a particular place. For example, if I want to say close to the sea, I can select the property type that I want and I can see where it's located. If it's nearer to the sea, I can select that. So in that way, it's very useful. Then we have plotted a scatter plot of the number of days the property is available in a year. So we can see that a variety of the values are 80 days. There are some 320 days. Depending on the color, it's been mapped. Then we've plotted the scatter plot for the review scores of the property. The review scores value is basically the overall review based on cleanliness and all the other factors that make you say that it was worth the money and it was that good. So these have been marked according to their colors in the scatter plot. In order to perform data analysis and to understand how to go about our data, we need to find the distribution type of our data. There are a number of ways to do this, some of them being histograms, QQ plots, box plots, KS test, etc. So over here, you will be learning about the QQ plot, and the KS test. So in the below diagram, you will see how to infer the QQ plot with respect to the distribution type. If the data is normally distributed, your QQ plot will look something like this. Data points plotted along a 45-degree line. If your data is too peaked in the middle, then your QQ plot will look something like this. And if your data is skewed, then your QQ plot will look something like this. So we've plotted the QQ plot on the column availability 365, which basically tells us how many days in a year the property is available to be rented. So upon plotting the QQ plot, we get a 45-degree line and the data points plotted on the line, which says that the data is normally distributed, as you can see in the figure. And then we have performed the KS test. We assume a null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis says that the data is normally distributed, and the alternative hypothesis says that the data is not normally distributed. So in order to accept the null hypothesis, we need to get the p-value of the KS test larger than 0.05. And to reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis, the p-value of the KS test needs to be smaller than 0.05. So upon performing the KS test, we get the p-value as 0.05, which is more than 0.05. Hence, we can accept the null hypothesis and say that our data is normally distributed.
A correlation matrix is a matrix which would display the relationship between the variables or columns. From this, we understand the mutual relationship between two columns and how strong the relation is. So here we have created a correlation matrix. Here you can see the cell's accuracy and cleanliness, which show a strong bond, whereas the cells of longitude and bedrooms show a weaker bond. So this shows us how strong the relationship between two columns is. The darker the color of the cell in the matrix, it tells us that the bond is strong, whereas the weaker colors in the matrix tell us that the bond is weak. So when the value is closer to 1, it shows a stronger relation, whereas the lower values show a weaker relation between those two columns. The value in correlation is bounded between -1 and 1. The covariance matrix is basically a matrix which represents the covariance between two columns. Covariance and correlation are very similar to each other. Covariance is not bounded between -1 and 1 like correlation. Covariance between two variables is a degree by which they go together. So when one value is positive, when the other value of a column is positive, or when one value is negative, when the other value of the column is negative, then they have a very high degree of covariance. Each cell in this matrix has a different type of covariance. So when a value in the cell of availability and availability represents the variance of the availability, whereas the covariance between availability and review score rating is the covariance of those two columns. Using hypothesis testing, we try to interpret or draw conclusions about the population of the dataset by using a sample of the data. Hypothesis test evaluates two mutually exclusive statements about a population to determine which statement is best supported by the sample data. So the first step would be to establish an hypothesis. We establish a null hypothesis saying that the average prices in Manhattan or any other city of New York is the same as the average prices of the whole of New York. And the alternate hypothesis established is that the average prices of Manhattan are lower than the average prices of New York. So for this, we performed the z-test to compute a one-sample hypothesis on these statements. As you can see, we have taken a sample of the data and have computed the mean, and we have run the hypothesis. So when we put the city as Manhattan, which is a bit more expensive than the other cities of New York, we get a p-value of 0.93, which is greater than 0.05. Hence, we accept the null hypothesis. Whereas, when we repeat the same process for Brooklyn, the p-value is lower than 0.05. Here, you can see the mean prices for all of New York, Manhattan, and Brooklyn. Linear regression is a linear model which assumes a linear relationship between the input variables x and a single output variable y. We use this to train the model and predict the y values from the trained model. Here, we must take a variable y, which is a dependent variable, and x variables, which are independent variables. So we take the y variable as review scores value, which is the value which is computed from other ratings such as accuracy, cleanliness, and communication. Now let's explain what these three values are. Review scores accuracy is basically how accurate the listing was described compared to how it turned out to be. For example, guests should be able to find up to date information and photos of the listing. It may happen that the property is described in a very grand way in the photos, but it turns out in real when the guests reach there, it wasn't as good. So based on this, review scores accuracy values are given. It ranges from 0 to 10. Review scores cleanliness is a value which tells us how clean the property was. This again ranges from 0 to 10, and depending on how clean it was, the value is assigned. Review scores communication is basically how well the host communicates before and during the stay. Guests often care that their host responds quickly, reliably, and frequently to their messages and questions. Guests usually want a lot of things when they look for properties. So when they have any doubts, they approach the owner, and how well the communication goes, how smoothly the communication goes. Based on that, the review scores communication values assigned. So review scores value is what we will be predicting. And so basically review scores value is the overall satisfaction that a guest feels through the price, through the cleanliness, through the communication, and the accuracy. So it's basically the overall experience of the customer, and this has values ranging from 0 to 10. So we predict the review scores values by taking the independent variables which I just mentioned, such as cleanliness, accuracy, and communication. So we get an R2 score of 97% and an RMSE score of 0.67 for our model for training the data, and we get an R2 score of 97% and an RMSE score of 0.70 for our model for testing the data. The overall model score is 0.97. Decision tree is a tree of flowchart-like structure in which each of the node represents a test attribute. Here, we create a decision tree to check for a better price in New York, and we use some of the columns in the dataset. As you can see, we have taken the columns of neighborhood, city, minimum nights, number of reviews, and the price. When we are dealing with categorical data, it is important to transform it to numerical values. Here you can see that we are converting the columns containing categorical data to numerical form. Therefore, you can see the new columns that have been created. We take the values of price between $90 to $180 to create this tree. The median absolute deviation is a measure of the variability of an unvariate sample of quantitative data, and here you can see it being computed. Here you can see our decision tree and its nodes, and in the nodes you can see the criteria for splitting the data. You can also see the MSE score, the samples that belong to that node, and the average prices of those samples. And then we see that we first split the data in the first node on the basis of room type. You can see that it's split into two, and after further computation we get different price values under different conditions. Here you can see that we get an average value of $137, which is shaded in a darker color, which is the highest among the leaf nodes. Random forest is a machine learning technique which is capable of performing both regression and classification tasks using multiple decision trees and a statistical technique called bagging. Random forest is a technique in which multiple decision trees determine the final output rather than relying on individual decision trees. As we had classified in decision tree, therefore we are going to be using the random forest regressor to predict the review scores value from the review scores accuracy, review scores cleanliness, and review scores communication. As we had explained earlier in the model of linear regression, review scores accuracy is basically ranges from 0 to 10, and it basically means how accurately the property was described and how it turned out to be actually. So this ranges from 0 to 10, and cleanliness is how clean the property was. This also ranges from 0 to 10. So the more clean it is, the more higher the value. And review scores communication is basically the interaction between the host and the guest to see if it was quick and the customer was satisfied, if the host replied faster, etc. So from using these three columns, we are trying to predict the review scores value, which is basically the customer satisfaction, and to see if all these factors contribute and give us an overall value from the customer. So we first split the data into training and testing variables and use it to train the model. Once we have trained the model, we use this model for testing to predict the review score values. For this regression technique, we got an R2 score of 98% and an RMSE score of 0.31. The model is better when the R2 score is nearer to 100 and the RMSE score is nearer to 0. Since the R2 value of random forest regressor is more than the R2 value of linear regression, and the RMSE score of a random forest regressor is lesser than the RMSE score of the linear regression, hence we can say that it's a better model than linear regression. Ridge and lasso regression are both linear models. Ridge regression is a method which uses L2 regularization. As you can see in this model, we predict the value of review scores value just like we had done in the previous regression models. And in this, we take the independent variables as review scores accuracy, review scores communication, review scores cleanliness, review scores check-in, and review scores location. We split the data into training and testing sets, and we use a sample of 20% in testing. The default alpha value in this is 1. After running the code, we get the output score of the training and testing as 0.98. Lasso regression is another linear model just like ridge and linear regression. In lasso regression, we use the concept of shrinkage. Shrinkage is where data values are shrunk towards a central point, like the mean. We use the predicted column, which is the review scores value, but we have changed the predicting columns. We have taken review scores accuracy, review scores communication, review scores cleanliness, review scores check-in, and review scores location. As I mentioned earlier, all these are the factors which allow us to predict the review score value. Review score communication is basically the communication with the host during the stay and prior to the stay. Review score cleanliness is how clean the property was. Review score check-in is how smoothly did your check-in go. And review scores location is how good the location is in which the property is present. So using all these, we will be predicting the review score value. So after applying this model, we get a model score of 0.99 in both training and testing. Naive Bayes is a classification technique based on the Bayes theorem with an assumption of independence among predictors. To put it simply, a naive-Bayes classifier assumes that the presence of a particular feature in a class is unrelated to the presence of any other feature. We have used the Gaussian model of naive-Bayes to perform the prediction. As you can see here, we have taken the similar columns used in our dataset to predict a review scores value as mentioned earlier. Here you can see we have split the dataset for the purpose of training and testing. In this cell, we have chosen the Gaussian model of naive Bayes. And as you can see here, the output, the predicted values of the review scores value. In this model, we get an accuracy score of 0.85, and for the training and testing, we get a score of 0.85, which is considered to be a good score. The K nearest neighbors algorithm is a simple, easy to implement, supervised machine learning algorithm that can be used to solve both classification and regression problems. As we are testing for prediction models, we will be using KNN in regression for performing the prediction. In this, we take a sample of data for this model. Here, we have used the same columns as used in the previous algorithms to predict the review scores value in our dataset. As we can see, after applying this model, we get a training score of 87% and a testing score of 85%. K-means clustering is an unsupervised machine learning algorithm. Clustering is basically grouping similar points together. So in this algorithm, we have taken the latitude and longitude of the dataset. Latitude and longitude columns in our dataset basically give us the latitude and longitude points at which the Airbnb properties are present. But before we can perform clustering, it is important to know how many clusters are required. As you can see in the scatter plot below, it is not easy to identify how many clusters can be formed. Therefore, we perform the elbow method to find out how many clusters can be formed. And we get the value of k as 5 clusters. And as you can see, we have formed 5 clusters. Here you can see each cluster and its color code. From this, we can understand how many clusters can be formed using the Airbnb listed properties throughout New York.